Is it easy to learn a language? Well, I think you can make it easy by surrounding yourself um, with an entertaining, fun environment to learn the language, by finding things you find interesting and fun and entertaining and just being there. So it would make it easier for you to stick around with the language, and that's how you learn in this continuous never ending process of learning a language by making your surroundings fun and interesting so that you continue doing it. So, yeah, you can make learning a language easy, just as you can make it difficult if you do the opposite by surrounding yourself by a heavy, not fun, not entertaining environment. So, I have a video here I talked about a couple days ago on a couple resources to make it fun, the experience of learning a language fun. Now it is going to take me to some definitions. What do I perceive as something easy or something difficult? So the current definition I've been using or thinking about when I think on difficult or easy things is that I think, to me, I would define easy as of right now as something that I know or something that I find that I am familiar with. And something difficult would be the opposite, something I don't know or something that I am unfamiliar with. So, to lots of things, including language learning, I think it is just an irrelevant thought to have a not significant or a useless thing to have in my mind, because I don't see anything positive about it. I think it only would keep you from doing something you want, just thinking whether it's difficult or not. And it's irrelevant because the more you learn a language, even though it is difficult, even though it is unfamiliar to you, the more you learn it, the more familiar it becomes. So therefore it becomes easier. So it's a full circle. The more you learn it, the easier it becomes. So what was the point of viewing this as something difficult? At the end of the day, if it is just easy eventually, because you just learn it more and more, you just grow more familiar. So I think it's irrelevant. And so yeah, now we head to the second topic. If you found all of this I said just boring, now we're going to a more technical approach, which would be talking about language families. So how similar is the language you want to learn to the language you know, or the languages you know? How similar are they to the languages you want to learn? So this will lead us to the family groups, language families. So let's say you speak French, and so if you speak French, it's going to be simpler for you to learn Italian than it would for you to learn Chinese, because Italian and French, they're just closer to each other than French and Chinese. So you have fewer new things to learn. You already have a good intuition on terms of vocabulary because they're just similar, the way the language functions, or maybe even Spanish and Italian. Let's go with Spanish and Italian because they're even more similar. So if you speak Spanish, you want to learn Italian, you're going to have a simpler time than learning Chinese because language structure is similar. A lot of vocabulary is very similar. So you have all these things that are similar. So of course it's going to be easier in this aspect than learning Chinese, because Chinese is just farther away. There are lots of more different things in terms of the writing system, how words sound, pronunciation, and all of that. So there are more new, unknown things for you to learn. So you have more things to learn, more things to get used to, more unfamiliar things to get familiar with. So therefore it would make it more difficult. So in this technical aspect, It would be as simple as that. The more different the language is to you, it's going to be more complicated because you have more things to learn. But again, the more you learn it, the more familiar you become with it. And it's the full circle again because it only gets easier. So what's the point of making this an issue to before you even start to just worry if it's difficult or not? If at the end of the day you're going to be improving and it will become easy anyway. So again, I think it's not something very positive to have this worry on your mind. That's my opinion on it. And then ultimately, the ultimate answer I think would be: is it easy to learn a language? I would say yes, if you're really interested in it, because that's the one thing you need the most: interest. And now it would take us again to what languages are we talking about? If you're interested in the language, it's going to be easy in this aspect because you just want to be in contact with it. You're going to be pushing yourself to it. And it also connects to what is the easiest language for you to learn. It is going to be different for each one of us because we have different interests. But I mean, if you speak Italian, and you want to learn Spanish, it would be simpler than learning Chinese, all of that again. But now, if you don't want to learn Italian, actually, which one did I say? You speak Italian and you learn Spanish? If you speak Italian, to learn Spanish would be simpler. But let's say you're not interested in Spanish, you're interested in Chinese. So therefore, Chinese is going to be way easier for you to learn, even though it's a lot more different for you to learn than Spanish. You're just interested in that. So you are going to have a way easier time exposing yourself to it, keeping yourself in contact with the language, because you just enjoy it. That's what you want. That's what is intriguing to you. That is what is interesting to you and exciting. So you're going to have an easier time sticking around, pushing yourself towards it, because that's what you want. So you can't forget everything I just said before this about language families and all that. Your interest is the strongest driving force. It would make things a lot easier and simpler and easygoing because you're interested in that. Doesn't matter if the other language is more similar to the languages you already know. If you are interested in that language, that is going to be the easiest one because it's going to be simpler for you to be around. And that is language learning. The more time you spend with it, the more you learn. So the one that is easier for you, that is most interesting for you to just be around for a long time, that is going to be the easiest one because you're going to be spending more time and therefore learning more. And then it's the snowball. The more you learn, the easier it becomes. So it goes back to the concept. What's the point of thinking too much whether it's easy or not if you're going to be making it easier every single day? It gets easier and easier and easier. Now, just mind me, this is a long-term behavior. Again, there's no end point to learning a language. It's only improvement. So surround yourself by fun, entertaining things in the language you're interested in or the languages. The more you do it, the more you improve. So this would be my take on it, pretty much. And just know as well that the more you learn about language learning, the more languages that you learn, it also gets easier because in terms of language learning, you know how it works more and more, how languages work in general, and how you work. And the more languages that you learn, it just makes it easier to learn the next one because of these two things I just said. You know more about language learning and more about yourself, but also you are learning more vocabulary. You expose yourself to a greater variety of language structures and vocabulary again and pronunciations, and you're just improving at everything. So the more you learn, the easier it becomes to learn the next one. It will be even easier if it's a language that is similar to one of the languages you already know, but it would also make it simpler to learn languages that are really different from the ones you know, just because of your experience learning languages. So there are all of these things to keep in mind. So ultimately, I would just say that you shouldn't worry about it. You can do this. It's just persistency and being there and understanding that it's a gradual process. It's not something that you start and next week I finished French, the end. No, it's only improvement. So I think that's what I have to say about this. Thanks a lot. Keep on learning. And to the next topic, the next conversation. Have a good one. Tschüss.